Hello, everyone, and welcome to the PACAC Virtual College Exploration for all Pennsylvania students. I'd like to go over a few announcements before we get started. First, if you would like to ask a question, please use the Q&A feature. Your mic and your camera have been turned off. Also, we do encourage you to sign up for additional sessions left in this college fair. And there also will be recordings available at pacac.org/virtual. And with that, I'll pass it along to Julia.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so my name is Julia Franson. I'm the undergraduate admissions counselor at Iona College for all students in Pennsylvania. So if you're watching this here from Pennsylvania today, I am your admissions counselor. A little bit about me, I've actually been working here at Iona for the past 3 years, and I've always had Pennsylvania as my territory. What that means is that for students from Pennsylvania, I'm the one who reads your application. I'm the person that you will be in contact with via email if you come to visit campus. I'm the person that comes out and says hello to you. So I'll definitely give you guys my contact information at the end of the presentation. And that way you can feel free to reach out to me even beyond this presentation. A little bit about me as well is that I attended Iona for my MBA. I received my master's in business administration here, and I did a concentration in management. I did their fast track program, which I will definitely talk a little bit about during my presentation. So thank you so much for joining today. And as we go through the presentation, if any questions do come up, please feel free to use that Q&A feature, and then I will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. So before I dive into our programs here, student involvement, the application process, I always like to start with why Iona. Go through some of the reasons that students decided on Iona, and some of the things that really help us stick out as an institution. So one thing we're really proud of at Iona is that 94% of our students are enrolled in graduate school or have a job in their field 6 months after graduation. And that is a recent number too. So that even includes the graduates from 2020 who are entering obviously a world right now that's in a pandemic that is having some job loss and some job anxiety. And our students have still been able to get into positions pretty quickly after they're graduating. We have a 14-to-1 student faculty ratio. So our class sizes are on average around 20 students each. We don't have any large lecture halls on campus, and all of your classes are actually taught by your professor, so you don't have any teacher's assistants, anything like that. 100% of our students last year were admitted or that were admitted received financial aid and merit scholarships. So 100% of our students didn't pay our sticker price. And one big thing that students really love and why they choose Iona is our proximity to New York City. So I'll go a little more into our location in the next few slides, but we're only 30 minutes outside of Midtown Manhattan. We have really easy commuter access, which makes it easy for our students to get internships, jobs right after graduation. But it's also really nice for our students to have New York City as their backyard as well. And lastly, we were ranked 13th in the nation last year on Money Magazine's list of most transformative colleges. So the work we're able to do here with our students in the time that they're here over the 4 years is enough to transform the rest of their life. And I'm going to chat with you about how we're able to do that here. And at the end, I'll come back to this slide as well. So a little bit of history. We were founded in 1940 by the Edmund Rice Christian Brothers. So we are a Catholic liberal arts college. So with the Catholic tradition, a really big part of that is commitment to service. Our students get involved in almost 89,000 hours of service each year. It is not something that's required, but something I always mention because, as I just mentioned, a lot of students do put in a lot of time for that. We have students though who come from all religions, backgrounds, different countries. So we're not required to be Catholic here. We are a liberal arts college, which basically means before you dive into your major, you'll be taking some core liberal arts classes. The reason we do that is one, taking some of those core classes can be really helpful for students if they're not sure exactly what they want to major in. So sometimes students think they want to study psychology, and then maybe they take a really great intro to biology liberal arts class, and they think, you know what? Maybe I want to go into pre-med instead. So it's helpful for students in that way. But we also really embrace the liberal arts curriculum because we want to prepare students not just for their job when they graduate, we want to prepare students as a member of society. So these classes are helpful for communication, leadership skills, and just to give you a perspective of life outside of whatever your future career is. So I mentioned before, I'm going to chat a little bit about our location. We're just 30 minutes above Midtown Manhattan in the county of Westchester County, New York. We are in a city called New Rochelle. And what's nice about New Rochelle is that it's a city where tons of people who live or who work in Manhattan live, and it's very easy to commute back and forth. But New Rochelle is also a city kind of split up between a very active downtown city-like area and an area of suburban homes. And Iona is right in the middle of the two. So if you go north of us, there's tons of homes. And if you go below us, we actually have downtown New Row, as we call it. And in that area, we have movie theater, we have a mini golf place, we have gyms, shopping, tons of restaurants that are all in walking distance. In terms of our campus size, you can walk from one end to the other in about 10 minutes. And as you can see on this campus map, you don't have to cross any, major tons of streets to get to your dorms or anything like that. The most students have to do is cross North Avenue if they live in one of the dorm buildings across the street. Our size is 3,000 undergrad students. And as I mentioned before, we do have that average class size of 20 students, which we're able to maintain because of our smaller size. I will definitely talk about some of the new buildings we have featured on this slide as well, but I always think it's important to note that we're a campus that's constantly expanding. We started out, in 1940 as a small school, a school that a lot of students commuted to, and now we're a larger campus with so many new buildings, 7 res halls on campus. So I'm excited to chat with you guys a little bit about our growth here too. So this is a list of our academic programs. If it has a maroon square next to it, we have it as major. And if there's a gold square next to it, we also have it as a minor. So some exciting programs that we have here that are really popular are criminal justice, computer science, communications, education, and psychology. Our School of Business has 9 majors in it, so it's a very popular program as well, especially due to the proximity to New York City. Something I always like to point out on this slide are our dual degree and our joint degree programs. So we want to prepare students to go into their job right away, or if they're interested in pursuing a master's degree or even a PhD, we want to help them with that process. So one way we do that is by offering dual degree programs. These are programs that are at the master's level here at Iona, and we were able to combine the bachelor's and the master's program into 5 years. So typically a program for bachelor's and master's would take 6. By combining the two and saving you, 1 year, you save a year of time and a year of tuition as well. So we have that for business, computer science, criminal justice, psychology. Each one is a little different, of course. I always talk to my experience with the MBA program. So I was working here at Iona as an admissions counselor and did the fast track MBA. The classes for the MBA are actually at night and online, so you can do a combination. So I was able to work my day job here, take some classes at night online, and finish the program within 1 year. Definitely made for a busy year, will not lie about that, but to the ability to save that time and that money was obviously really valuable. So for students that are pursuing the MBA as students, when they graduate in 4 years, you can start working right away and take those classes online and at night. With the other programs like criminal justice, psychology, those are typically classes held during the day, but nonetheless, you're able to finish that program within 1 year. We have some joint degree programs too. So some students who are looking into law or medicine, we have partnerships with other schools. So we have a partnership with Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine. They're located actually in Pennsylvania, and they have a medical, pharmaceutical, and dentistry program for students to get involved in. And the way it works for these programs is that you apply to Iona and to LECOM at the same time. And if admitted to both, you can go directly from our program into one of their 3 doctorate level programs afterwards. We also have a partnership with Seton Hall's Law School. Seton Hall is located in New Jersey, and it's a similar idea. You would apply to Iona and to Seton Hall at the same time. If admitted into both, you can go directly from our program into their 3-year JD program. Something that is really exciting for us on campus is we announced this summer a brand new program. So we have a Bachelor of Science degree for nursing. So I know this is a field that is becoming increasingly more popular, and we're very excited to offer finally a program for it. So we have on campus just in the past few months finished building a new facility, state-of-the-art facility for our nursing students. We also have established a partnership with Montefiore Hospital, which is located right here in New Rochelle. It's about a mile from campus, so students can do all their clinical experience there. And we are also test optional for our nursing program. So I'll definitely chat a little more about what our test optional policy looks like. But I always like to point out that for nursing and for our other health science majors, we are still test optional. With the nursing program, we do look very closely at the math and science grades. We want to make sure students are taking math and science all 4 years. And we do encourage an interview as well for students looking into our nursing program. So I mentioned before, we are constantly in a state of growth here at Iona. So I wanted to chat about some new buildings that we have on campus just within the past year and a half. So one in the top left-hand corner, you'll see our Heinz Institute. So a new major that we have at Iona is entrepreneurship. So it's something that we've been seeing an increased demand for, the idea of students running their own business, running their own show, basically. And so to help support that, we've created this major, minor, and institute on campus. What's nice about it is that the center is for your classes and for the entrepreneurship club, but we also have students that are already running their own businesses and enterprises and need a workspace that's not their dorm room, right? So students are able to use this entrepreneurship center as meeting space as well. So that's a brand new building that we had put on our campus. Another thing we did recently was renovate our Heinz Athletic Arena, which is in the bottom left-hand corner. So we added some 360 seating to our arena, which was very fun for last year's basketball season. And then lastly, and probably our biggest project, was we just completed this year our brand new School of Business. So we have, I hope you can come see it. I'll talk about some visit opportunities soon. But what's really nice is that we added and doubled on to our previous business buildings. So you see a lot of old and new features as well, which is pretty cool. So obviously students in our business program will have their classes there, but we have a ton of core classes that are in that building as well. So as a student, you're more than likely to have one class in this brand new building. So I always like to highlight our honors program for any students that are taking any honors AP classes in high school. Our honors program might be something of interest to you. And I will say, during the college search, definitely check in with the schools you're looking at, see if they do have an honors program if you're taking those honors and AP classes, because there can be a lot of benefits to being in one. So I'll tell you a little bit about ours. The way it works is that your core classes I mentioned earlier, instead of taking those, you'll take a specific honors core. They're a little different, so they're typically smaller class sizes than even our average of 20 students. And with the classes, there's some seminar style teaching, which is interesting. So basically what the teacher will use some students to help along with teaching some of the material, which sounds a little intimidating, but I've heard from a lot of students is really very rewarding. And it gives you a lot of chance to kind of have that leadership and communication skills build up as well. With the honors core classes, it doesn't affect the rest of your major. It just affects those honors core classes. And there is also some independent research and a thesis involved as well. Some main benefits to our honors program is the addition of 6 free tuition credits per year. This allows students to add a class per semester if they'd like onto their schedule for free, or some students decide to save those courses for their summer, for their winter breaks, to either take classes or to do some study abroad. With these free credits, we have students who have graduated, a semester early. We've had students who've added a whole other major or minor. So it is a really big benefit for our students. We also award additional merit scholarships for students in our honors program. And students in the honors actually have a res hall dedicated to them on one floor for their first year. So it's a nice chance to get to know other honor students within the program. They also get early class registration, so you get to pick out your classes before most other students on campus get to as well. So the way to get into our honors program, we're typically looking for a 3.5 GPA or higher. As I mentioned, we are test optional, including for our honors program. But I always tell students if they have a 1260 SAT or a 26 ACT or higher, to submit it because that can always be helpful for honors. And we look a lot at the rigor of the coursework. So are students taking AP and honors courses? Are they challenging themselves with their curriculum? And then we, as application readers, like I said, I read for Pennsylvania, will read your application. If we think you'd be a good fit for the honors program, we recommend it. And then our director looks over and decides and sends out an invitation for the honors program. So I mentioned before, 94% of our students are enrolled in graduate school or have a job in their field 6 months after graduation. And a huge part of that is due to our proximity to New York City and to Stamford, Connecticut. We are a 30-minute train ride to both Manhattan and to Stamford. And that close proximity makes it really easy for our students to have internships during the semester and to be able to do them while taking classes. So we are 1 mile away from the train station. We have a shuttle that takes students back and forth twice an hour every single day. So really easy access. And then it's a 30-minute train right into Grand Central Station or into the train station for Stamford, Connecticut. These are some of the internships that students have done over recent years. And I always like to point out that you can start doing an internship as soon as you declare your major. So students start doing them as early as their sophomore year. And the proximity to the city is helpful for two reasons. So one, you're able to do your internship while you're taking classes. You can set your schedule for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then Wednesday and Friday go into the city to do your internship, which is nice because one, you're not competing with other students who are, coming home on their winter break, their summer break, trying to get an internship. You're doing it during the semester, so there's hopefully a little less competition. The other big benefit is that we have established a really great reputation in our area. So we've already sent out to companies and firms nearby amazing interns. And so a lot of times they'll reach out to our professors here and say, hey, can you recommend a student for this internship? Can you recommend a student for this job opportunity? And they'll be able to because they know you pretty well in that small class setting. So it makes it easier just for our students to get those opportunities. Beyond that, we also have a career development center. So they host networking events, they host job fairs and internship expos basically twice a year. They invite a bunch of companies and firms on campus, and students can walk around with their resume and try to network to get those internship or interview opportunities. They also help you with resume, cover letter writing. They'll do mock interviews with you. We have a website called Handshake, which is kind of like a job search engine just for Iona students. So Iona alumni and our career center will post the opportunities right on Handshake, and our students can apply directly through there. So it's kind of like giving you an inside scoop into some job opportunities in the local area. So definitely, if you have any questions about internships or what major might pair well with an internship, feel free to let me know or write in the Q&A box. All right. The next thing I always chat about is our college assistance program. So this is an optional fee-based program for any students in high school who had a 504 plan or an IEP and want to bring those accommodations and that support into college as well. CAP offers individualized skill-based tutoring, so students are able to meet twice a week with a tutor, a mentor, to help not only with their classes, but also just with organizational skills, self-advocacy skills, and just the adjustments to college. They also have students in CAP advisement and early registration, so you're able to pick out your classes beforehand. And you also, beyond perceiving your accommodations, are invited to join the summer transition program for students right before the semester starts. Students are able to come onto campus for a week and get adjusted to Iona before all of their classes begin. So as I mentioned, it is an optional program. If any students are involved or are interested, CAP actually hosts their own information sessions right on our website. We're doing them virtually at this time, but it's a great chance to learn a bit more from the assistant director and director of the program, what the program entails, and if it might be a good fit. So I mentioned before, we're a campus that's constantly growing. We actually currently have 7 residence halls on campus, and we guarantee housing all 4 years for our students. You never get to a point your junior or senior year and you have to struggle to find out where you're going to live, anything like that. We guarantee it all 4 years. So these are some of the features included with our res halls, our dorms on campus. Two I always point out are, the free HBO Go account, which is very, very nice, catch up on a lot of different shows. And then we have air conditioning controlled by students in every single one of our dorms. So students have that, which is really amazing in the summer when everyone is moving in. To have that air conditioning is very, very nice. I always like to point out too that our students their freshman year get a lot of options with their dorms. So for example, we have single dorms, doubles, triples, suite style housing, and you can kind of put your preference of how many people you want to live with and even maybe what building you might want to live in. So it's nice that you're not just stuck in one type of dorm, you get some options. And then as you get older, upperclassmen have the opportunity to live in apartments on campus too. And I will just say before I move on to athletics, on our website, we also have dorm tours for most of our dorms. It's a great chance to kind of look at a closer look at the dorms here. And we also have them run by student tour guides. So they'll tell you a little bit about their experience living in those dorms too. All right, so something kind of unique about Iona is that though we're a smaller school of 3,000 undergrads, we have 21 Division I athletics. We have 21 really strong athletic teams on campus. Some highlights I always like to point out are men's basketball team, probably our most known team here. They have qualified for the NCAA championship many, many, many times. And so they're definitely one of our more popular teams on campus. Our most successful, I would say, is our track and field men's team. They've won their championship the past 28 years in a row, which is incredible. It's older than me. So that is a very long time. And then I always like to point out too on this slide that if you are interested in playing any sports at the Division I level, we do have recruiting forms right on our website. And that's the best way for coaches to get your information and to start that line of communication with our students. If you're not interested in playing at the D1 level, we do have intramural and club level sports, which I'll chat about on the next slide. And then I will say from my own personal experience, I'm not someone who plays sports. I don't typically watch sports, but it's been a really fun part of working at Iona to be able to attend some of the games with my coworkers because the teams are so strong. So many students do come out and you can really feel that school spirit on campus. So if you're looking for a smaller school that still has a lot of that school pride and that school sports spirit, Iona is a really good fit for students. So I would say the biggest piece of advice I give any student looking to go to college is to get as involved as possible. The more time you invest and the more energy you invest outside of the classroom, the more successful you're going to be inside the classroom. So whatever you kind of currently do in high school now, or just to be open to activities you never thought you'd get involved in. It's something to really, put yourself into when you go into college and get involved in these clubs, organizations. So I'll go a little bit into, some of the ones that we offer here. I will say, first of all, we have over 80 clubs on campus. So even though we are a smaller school, we still clearly have many, many clubs to get involved in. And typically we do 450 activities per year, literally more than one a day. So there's always something to get involved in. Even now, currently, we are on campus. We started the semester a bit early and we've had a little over 60% of our students returned to campus this fall, and we've been able to host different activities like we did an outdoor movie night, we did a fall festival. So, even in a pandemic, we're creating ways to get students involved. So we have academic clubs, we have multicultural groups, as well as fraternities and sororities on campus. We have media groups, so we have a TV and radio station on campus, and students are able to host their own TV show or radio, or radio show, even if they're not involved in our communication majors here. Like I mentioned on the previous slide, we have intramural and club level sports. So the way intramural works is that most of our sports, excluding the ones in the water, still can meet and compete with each other right here on campus. While they don't compete with other schools, it's a really fun way to stay involved, stay active. If you want to play a sport, but maybe don't want the commitment level of a Division I team. For the club teams, they do actually still compete with other schools, but again, not at the D1 level. Interestingly, our rugby team was ranked within the top 15 in the nation this past year. So it's a very, very strong team for anyone interested in rugby. We offer study abroad and mission and ministry. I'm going to actually talk about those two individually on the next slide, so won't spoil anything. We do have a performing arts program at Iona. So our theater group, the Iona Players, put on 2 different musicals and a play every year, which is very, very fun. I'm someone who loves going to see any sort of show. So I love being close to New York City. So I always go to support the Iona Players. And then beyond that, we also have musical groups, band groups, singing groups, bagpipes on campus. So that's the next thing, our pipe band. If anyone plays the bagpipes, definitely reach out to me, let me know. We do recruit for that team. We offer ROTC, Army, and Air Force, and we offer those through Manhattan and through Florida, which are 2 schools very close to us, as well as entrepreneurship as a club, which I briefly touched upon earlier in this slide about new buildings on campus. Beyond the major, we also have it as a club here too. So as I mentioned, I'm going to just chat about 2 of those ways students get involved. So one that's always really close to my heart is study abroad. I always say this is my #1 regret in college was not getting the chance to study abroad. I think the chance to take a class with students your own age and then to walk outside of that classroom and be in the country that you're studying is amazing, right? So if you have the chance to study abroad, if you have that interest, I really, would push you to explore that. We have semester-long trips, spring break, and summer trips. So I would say our most popular semester trip is Passport to Europe, where students are able to study in Ireland, France, and Italy. And we break it up for 6 weeks each. So it's a trip I know I would love to definitely take. It's nice too because students get to study at 3 different universities, and typically on their weekends or longer breaks during that semester, they travel to a few different other countries as well. I know one student who during that trip on Passport to Western Europe visited 9 different countries just because of the proximity of countries in Europe. For spring break, you actually take a class your spring semester, and then that whole class goes on the trip together for that 1 week. So you already know the students you'll be going on the trip with. And then the summer trips are usually just a few weeks. I always, want to let students know that because we are a smaller school, we are constantly changing our study abroad opportunities and the countries that we offer. So depending on the professors and the countries available, they are frequently shifting. A student could not see a study abroad opportunity they want their freshman year, and then it could be offered their junior year. So I always say, for students, especially that come to Iona, to pay attention to the different opportunities each year. I mentioned in the very beginning of my presentation that our students typically complete almost 89,000 service hours, and they're able to do that through a few ways. So we offer community service projects just in our local area. So we have 10 different ones already set up, transportation and everything for our students to volunteer locally. And then we also offer 18 different immersion trips on 5 different continents. So we have students who travel domestically to Virginia, Florida, Texas, Puerto Rico, to far away as Peru, Zambia, India, South Africa. And during these trips, it's a chance for students to gather in prayer and in service to work on this one mission together. So it is a very popular office on campus, or Office of Mission and Ministry. And again, if it's not something you typically do in high school, that's of course okay. And if it's something that you are really looking forward to, I promise you will find a lot of other students who also feel that way too. All right, so I chatted a lot about what we do here at Iona. I'm just going to finish up the presentation by chatting to you about the application process and what our financial aid process looks like too. So we're available on the Common Application exclusively. We look for a high school transcript, 2 letters of recommendation, one from your counselor and one from your teacher, as well as the personal essay. So it can be one that you've already written, or you can use one for that's offered through the Common App with their own prompts. We are a test optional institution. We actually were test optional prior to this year, and it's something that we really believe in, to not require those test scores. So I know especially this year, it's been an issue with getting to take the SAT or ACT. So we don't consider SAT or ACT even for your merit scholarship. We've actually based that typically strictly off of the GPA. For our deadlines, excuse me, we have early decision, which is a binding decision, and that's December 1st. Early decision is basically for students who definitely know they're coming to Iona, they only are interested in Iona, and they're only applying to Iona. For early action, which is the decision I always recommend, that is non-binding, and that's December 15th. This is a deadline for students who have their materials and their applications set before the new year. And if they get it into us, we actually give them a decision by the end of January. So it's a very quick turnaround time to know if you're in, and it gives you a lot of time to make that final decision too. Our last deadline, if you need a bit more time, is regular decision, and that's February 15th. Typically for that, students will hear back a month or so after that deadline. So any questions about this at all, definitely feel free to put in the Q&A. And then financial aid and fees. So I mentioned before, 100% of our students last year actually received financial aid and merit scholarship. You're automatically considered for merit scholarship. And again, we base that off of the GPA. So the higher your GPA is, the higher the amount of merit scholarship you're likely to receive. Last year, we awarded $51 million in scholarship and aid last year. So we really try to make the private education as affordable as possible. On top of any sort of merit aid, we do encourage every student to complete the FAFSA for need-based aid. That became available October 1st. I'm sure your counselors have told you all about the FAFSA and kind of encouraged you to fill that out. I'm here again to say, if you haven't done so already, definitely fill that out or start working on it, because once it's so complete, you can keep adding schools onto it, and it's just one thing to get out of the way, so you have fewer things to worry about as you're kind of narrowing down your college decision later next year. In terms of our tuition and fees, so for this current year, it's $41,580, and our room and board, which also includes your meal plan and living on campus, is $16,208. So I always think it's important to know that sticker price, but again, 100% of our students last year did receive some sort of financial aid or scholarship. So 100% of students did not pay that sticker price. So I mentioned, this was my second slide at the very beginning. I said I would come back to this to chat about why students chose Iona. So I hope that during my presentation, I did give some valuable insight into why students chose Iona, especially based on these facts and figures. But I think it's important to note some of the reasons that I've heard personally from students from Pennsylvania as to why they chose Iona. So one of the things students have really enjoyed is that though we're a small campus, we offer a lot of opportunities. So, you walk through campus, you think it's just a 10-minute walk. How much can we really squeeze into a campus? The answer is a lot. So beyond even just our clubs and organizations that we offer, even the classroom and internship opportunities are so big for such a small campus. Students in Pennsylvania do also really appreciate that while it's not too close to home, it's also not terribly far. So from a lot of areas in Pennsylvania, you are able to do a day trip to come visit campus. For example, we're only 2 hours from Philadelphia, so gauge that how you will for other parts of Pennsylvania, but students definitely appreciate that driving distance where it doesn't feel terribly far, but it doesn't feel, too close either. Another thing students have told me they love is the school spirit on campus. So sometimes students really do want that rallying feel, those big sports on campus, but maybe they don't want to go to a big university setting. So with our smaller size and big sports feel, it kind of is a perfect fit for those students. Obviously, students love the proximity to New York City for internships, for jobs. But there's a lot of value in the kind of experiences you can get being able to just take a train into New York City on a random Saturday, right? To walk through Central Park, or we offer discounted Broadway show tickets, discounted sporting tickets, right? So we try to get you involved in the city, not just for your career, but for the fun that it offers as well. I always hear that students love the familiarity of campus. They love being able to see familiar faces, going to the cafeteria at 2 p.m. and knowing who's serving their food, or going to their dorm at night after class and knowing who's the security guard that's working that night, right? So students love that familiar feeling on campus where they're able to walk around and know familiar faces without knowing every single person on campus. And lastly, we just heard from so many students that Iona has felt like a second home to them, which is the best thing you can hear as an admissions counselor, right? We want students to find their next 4 years and have it feel like an extension of home or a second home. And so that's why I really always encourage the campus visit. If that's something that you're able to do, not just for Iona, but anywhere, right? To see if when you walk on campus, you get that feeling of home. So to end with my presentation, I just want to let you know that because we're open this semester, we have been able to do on-campus tours. The way we've been doing them is students just have to sign up beforehand. And then once students have signed up, you'll be paired with just one tour guide per family to keep it as safe as possible. And we actually do them 7 days a week. So if you're not interested in doing a on-campus visit just yet, we also have virtual tours too, including a virtual open house coming up on Sunday, November 8th. This is my contact information, so definitely feel free to take a picture of it or take that down. And then I will, kind of end the presentation of my part from here and see if there are any questions at all that I could answer about Iona. So if you haven't written anything in the Q&A just yet, definitely feel free to. All right, well, definitely feel free to take my information. Like I said, I'm the admissions counselor for any student here from Pennsylvania, so I'm really happy to answer any questions, after this. If you think of one later on, or just want to chat on the phone a bit more about Iona, I'm more than happy to do that. And again, thank you so much for joining me tonight to hear more about Iona College, and I hope to chat with you in the future.
Just wanted to thank everybody for joining today. At the end of this session, there will be a 4-question survey for you to complete. Again, we do encourage you to sign up for additional sessions, and a recording of this video will be ready for you in about a week's time. You can visit www.pacac.org/virtual for more information. Thank you all and have a good night.
Thank you.